So we're here with Nick to look at something particularly special in the Mount Albert Research Centre.
Yeah, thanks. We're in, there's a big plant collection here first collected back in the days when this was what was known as the DSIR campus, pre-the Crown Research Institutes. So there was a lot of plant collection, both of native and overseas plant species that are still remaining on the site today. And in terms of a very special plant, we have here the Bartlett's rata, Myrtaceae, which is a taonga of Ngāti Kuri up in the far north of Northland, and where there are, I've been told, 12 to 15 mature adult trees left in the wild. But this species of Myrtaceae is found in cultivation. It is grown as an amenity or garden plant around the place, but it's a very special plant, and given its rarity in the far north, we are worried about if there will be a threat or impact by myrtle rust. And that brings me to the point of we have around 37 and counting native Myrtaceae in New Zealand. Of course, we used to have one or two kānuka, and now we have 16. So the plant taxonomists, and Peter DeLange in particular, will probably be publishing in the future what the Manuka complex is. So Leptospermum and Scoparium will probably be multiple different species. So, you know, this is where we're still learning about our native Myrtaceae even now.
And so what's particularly special? You talked about this is quite rare in the wild, Nick. What are the chances of us preserving something like this? Is there a program of propagation or seed collection? Do we know much about the morphology and the biology of the plant?
And that brings me to another point, as the impact of myrtle rust, when people were suggesting seed banking and rushing around when the rust first struck the mainland of New Zealand, trying to do seed collection across the motu of different Myrtaceae, particularly rare and special Myrtaceae, which would be under even a more extreme threat, such as this, which is only 12 trees in the wild. And that's where we've learnt that we don't know a lot of some of our Myrtaceae in terms of their seed banking requirements, what the protocols should be, how to long-term store, when is the best time or years to harvest the fertile seeds, and given that myrtle rust also infects the flower and the seed of some hosts, it's really important that we know this. So this is why there's a research program called Ngā Rākau Takitaki, which is the ancient trees and plants of Aotearoa, alongside Beyond Myrtle Rust, which both government-funded programs, looking at these questions of how we preserve, conserve and manage our Myrtaceae.
Okay, Nick, we're here to talk about, you've talked a little bit about the Myrtaceae species that we find in New Zealand, New Zealand natives. What other types of Myrtaceae might we see in New Zealand that perhaps are exotic species that are impacted by the rust?
Well, yes, the Myrtaceae family is huge. Worldwide it's thousands of species and genera. When you think about the entire eucalyptus genus itself as a Myrtaceae, and in New Zealand we have many exotic Myrtaceae. I wouldn't know how many species, but we have Fijoa, for example, but there are also, and behind me, the Acmina, which is often grown as a hedgerow or hedging, and these are exotic plants that can and may be infected by the rust as well. So when you know, for the arborist community, you're going to be encountering this disease on not only native Myrtaceae but also exotic, and there'll be a number of management guidelines which you'll be given today, which give you some advice around handling infected Myrtaceae, whether they be native trees or exotic trees.